Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Shea Marriott. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to tonight's show. We're going to be talking to my co-host, Boy to Man, his journey. Tune in. It's your time to renew, rebuild, and restore. Let's go. Good evening. Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to Rebirth Podcast. I'm your host, Shea Marriott.
And it's your boy, Eli Isabel, a.k.a. The South. I got something to say. Happy Monday, Shea. What's up, family out there? How y'all doing?
Happy Monday. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very excited about tonight's show.
Woo!
You know why?
I don't know. do tell. Do tell.
Because tonight it's going to be about you, Eli.
Oh,
it's going to be
Lord.
all about you. I want our audience to get a chance to know who Eli really is and his journey, you know, from boy to man. So,
Jesus.
How do you feel about that?
I feel confident in where I am.
Okay. Even though you don't know what questions I'm going to ask,
I have no idea, but you don't afraid me. You don't afraid me. So, all good.
Love it. I love it.
It's all good.
Yes.
Man.
Now, welcome to the podcast, guys.
Yes.
I'm so happy to be here tonight. I'm excited. I get a chance to have a candid conversation with Eli, and we did this a couple of years ago. And I thought it would be a good time to do this again, especially with Rebirth Live and Uncut coming up on October 26th.
No doubt.
And tell the people.
Listen, theater in October 26th, Rebirth Live goes down again. This time, y'all, it's live and uncut. Listen, you want to be in the building. Doors open at 6:30 sharp. You want to be there early. We're going to have DJ Tim Dog on the ones and twos, warming y'all up for us. Shea and I are going to come out with an awesome panel with some great conversation. Man, come out. It's a grown folk affair. I'm going to be clean as a new tablecloth. I suggest you all do the same. And we're going to come out there and we're going to kick it.
Yes. I'm very excited about it. So if you have not purchased your ticket yet, please go to rebirthu.com, and that's rebirth, the letter U.com, and purchase your ticket. Tickets are moving. I want you to be able to enjoy this experience. Come out and ask questions. The audience will have opportunity to ask whatever question you like to our panel members. No question is off limit. So
I have a question for you.
Oh my goodness.
Do you know how clean a new tablecloth is?
It's real clean.
It's gonna be clean.
It's very clean.
It's gonna be clean.
It's a white tablecloth.
A white tablecloth at that. That's what I'm saying. Clean as Clorox, as they say.
It's definitely going to be a good time. So definitely, guys, join us. And we had DJ Tim Dog last week on the podcast, and
no doubt
we got a chance to know a little bit about him, the man behind the music, right? And I think that's what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, is really getting a chance to talk to different people, and that's going to be on the at the Rebirth Live
for sure
event, and get a chance to for you to know who our panel members are, get their history, their life experiences. So we're very excited about it, and I hope you guys join us. I really do.
For sure. Be there or be square.
So let's get into what the South got to say.
Yes. What up, family? Welcome to the South. Got something to say segment tonight. I have something I wanted to just kind of share with you guys. 2 weeks ago at Shea's birthday gathering, I had a conversation with the awesome Michelle Washington Sr. And she's singing because our super producer Jen is MJ. She's Michelle Washington Jr. So I had an awesome conversation with Michelle. Actually, Jen was sitting there too. And we were talking about triggers and how there's so much focus put. And Shea sprinkled salt in this. So I've got something to say segment, y'all, but we'll get back to that.
So you ain't have to share.
I have to share everything.
They didn't know.
Full transparency. So one of the things that Michelle brought up was like, we spent a lot of time, especially today, talking about triggers, things that trigger us, things that make us think about past traumatic events, or maybe not even traumatic events, but just things that we've been through that were uncomfortable for us. And she says, how come we never talk about positive triggers? Shea said because they're not called that. But anyway, for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna call them positive triggers. And Shay, I do want to pull you in on this. Like, I don't. I think it's true that whether we don't focus enough on great things that we've been through or
Yeah.
great things that have happened to us. And I was saying to Michelle, she said, what are some like what's some positive triggers? I was like, you know what?
Mm,
The smell of fresh cut grass in the spring.
mm,
That takes me back to being a kid.
mm.
Listen to Al Green or some old music my mama played. These are just like
Yeah.
such fun memories for me.
Mm-hmm.
And music is always a staple, and we can all, I think, kind of attest to that. Music is probably one of the things that can either take you super high or take you really low,
Mm.
depending on where you at in your life. And if you just went through a bad breakup and Lenny Williams, I love you comes on, you're
Yes,
probably gonna be in a
honey.
bad place. But if it's your birthday and they're playing "It's Your Birthday, Girl," all
Oh
that,
yeah, like 2 weeks ago.
like 2 weeks ago, then that song puts you in a different place. So I do think that we need to, and we don't have to necessarily call them triggers, but for the sake of the conversation,
Mhm.
I do think we need to spend a little more time focusing on things that mean something to us and that make us feel good. And I don't think as people we
Yeah.
do that enough. And Michelle was like, "Well, why don't we?" I said, "You know why we
Mhm.
don't do that? The same reason that if we post something and 1,000 people love it, and one says, 'Yo, this is whack,' and you look horrible." We're gonna focus
You
on that
focus on that one
one
comment. Yeah.
negative comment. I think it's just human nature not to focus on the positive.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah. So I would say a positive trigger, since that's what we're calling it. A positive trigger for me actually is this time of the year, fall moving into the winter months.
Mhm.
Um, I just remember my grandmother, God rest her soul. She just cooked all the time. And
Mm.
that's where I got
Your nickname?
making sure. No, this is Debbie, right back in the day. That kids there used to
I
die.
didn't know. That's where
But
you were going.
that she like she inspired me to cook the way that I cook for my family. Like,
Mm.
you know, I remember moving to Delaware. When I first met you and Julie,
Mhm.
remember at Brandywine program, and shout out to Jules. What's up, Jules? I
Shout out to
remember,
Fern Spellman.
yes, Miss Fern. Yes, Miss
Yes.
Fern. I remember when she found out that I was cooking dinner every night and on Sundays, she was just like, "Oh my God." She was like, "This is when I was married." She said, "You cook every night?" I was like, "Yeah." That's how I was raised. My grandmother always had hot food on the table for us
I know
when
that's
work
right.
was over, when school was over, you know? So she was just like, I'm horrible. She thought she was saying to herself, she's like, I'm a horrible wife. Because she was like, I don't even cook like that. I'm like, yeah, I have a family. So that's how, it was always done. But the fall and the winter months is a positive trigger for me because I think about her cooking, and she used to make this apple cinnamon.
Mm.
It was she would make a pot of apples and cinnamon. She would cut the apples up and she would just boil them and put the cinnamon and
Smelled
brown
good too
sugar.
while it was
Oh
cooking. Then
my God, the whole house was
I know
smelling
it.
good. And she would make some homemade biscuits, and she would put the biscuits on the plate and pour the apple cinnamons over top of
Oh,
it. It was just so good. And then she would can, she would do the mason
yeah.
jars of okra,
That's old school
tomatoes,
right
and
there.
stuff
That's
like that,
love.
right? That's love.
That is
And
love.
and that's when the fall season comes in. I always think about that.
Do you make those? Do you make that combination of things, the
I
apples
You
and
know
the
what?
biscuits?
I have not. And it's crazy because I still to this day, and it's October, it will be 24 years
Mm.
that my grandma has been gone. And I still to this day, and my eyes are filling up now, miss her so much.
Right, right,
I miss her so much. And she was just such an amazing woman.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And I watched her, and I didn't realize how much I watched her until I became an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember certain things. Her opening the blinds when we all still sleep, opening the blinds in the morning, singing church hymns,
Wow.
her praying over us. I pray over my children. I pray over my family. I pray over my fiance. Even now,
Yeah.
When everybody is asleep, I'm praying over them. Or, that's just stuff that I picked up. I saw my grandmother do.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, positive triggers. But why don't we focus on those things? Because automatically it's like our brain is trained to look at the negative
all the time.
All the time. It's like that is the first thing that we look at, right? It goes back to is the gas is the glass half full or half empty,
yeah.
right? And most people minds is set to say, oh, it's half empty,
right?
Instead of saying, looking at the same glass and saying, no, it's half full. It's all about perspective.
Absolutely. Wow. I hope and I wish and I hope that at some point I'm gonna focus more on that. And I really do a lot of reflecting. So I do focus on the positive a lot. But I mean, as a whole, I think we really need to kind of hone in on that. And that's really a thing, man. Like that's positive triggers. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
All 2024, the rest of it.
Yeah.
And beyond.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a good one though. It was a good thought and a good question.
Thank you. As you shut it down earlier with you. We made it through there though. We made it through. Shout out to Michelle Washington Senior. Appreciate you, sis. Much love.
All right, y'all. We got the Rebirth Live and Uncut coming up soon. Check out this commercial. Okay. Ladies, Rebirth Live and Uncut is coming October 26th to Theater Inn. We need you in the building.
October 26th. Listen to me very carefully, fellas. Come out. We don't have an issue getting the ladies in the building, but we need y'all. We need to be able to enlighten ourselves, open our minds. Rebirth Live 5 is
the grown and sexy. Ladies, come on out with your best dress on, with your fly heels. Let's have a good time and make our voices known.
Come out and enjoy your voice, man. Don't be sitting in the back not asking questions. This is for you too. This is not just for always women. This is for men as well. We have a voice. We have feelings. We have things we want to get off our chest. And guess what? It's live and uncut. You get to speak without being filtered.
Rebirth Live. Get your tickets. RebirthU.com. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Grab them tickets, y'all. Stop playing.
Get the tickets. Come on now. What you waiting for?
This is gonna be a great time, I promise you.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and
I cannot wait to start announcing the panel.
And I've never lied to you guys on air. So when I tell you it's gonna be a great time, trust me, it's gonna be a great time.
I had to notice that.
Yeah, look at the doubt in the room. Jeez. Let me get out of this den of doubt.
Listen, we got something big that we're about to drop this week as well, y'all.
Child.
Something really major. So be looking on all of our social media. The South got something to say. Rebirth U Podcast. Boss Up. All on Instagram, social media. Check it out because
Mr. Wilkerson.
Mr. Wilkerson.
Look him up.
On IG. That's the Rebirth team, y'all. We have a lot coming and we are very excited about, what we about to drop.
No doubt.
But now, I'm excited to sit here and have a conversation with you.
Let's
Eli.
do it.
Let's go.
Is there something you don't know about me?
No, but the audience wants to know.
Just curious.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find out some things in this conversation.
All right, let me keep myself in check tonight.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Right.
And go.
All right. Again, welcome to the Rebirth Podcast. Tonight we are going to be talking to Eli about his journey from boy to man. Eli, first of all, where were you born?
I was actually born in Memphis, Tennessee.
Now, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought you was born in Arkansas.
I was born in Memphis, but we lived in Arkansas. But my birth certificate says state of Tennessee.
Okay.
And that social represents that.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I was born in Memphis, and my family, I have an extensive family in Memphis. My dad's side, well, who I thought was my father, that side of family is all from Memphis. My big mama, my daddy James, my grandfather, these people all lived in Memphis, and I would go and stay with them probably 2 weekends out the month. I would be going to Memphis and hanging out with them. Now this is back when the grandparents were like 65 when I was a little boy. Grandparents were like not 35 and 40.
Right.
Like grandparents, I called them.
Yeah.
And my big mama, who was about 5'1", 120 pounds maybe. Her nickname was we called her Big Mama.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so the distinguish between my father, whose name was James Isabel, and my grandfather, his name was James too. We
Mhm.
called my grandfather Daddy James, and then we called
Okay.
James Isabel Daddy.
Okay.
So it was Daddy James and Big Mama.
Wow. I love it.
That was my people, man.
I
I would be
love
on the
it.
porch with the old people,
I love it.
and they be dipping snuff.
But that's why you got that old soul.
Yeah, probably so. Listening, hanging around them, and then when my mother had me at 32. So
Mm.
when I'm in, kindergarten, first, second grade, my friends' parents were like early 20s.
Mhm.
So it was like already I was older in a sense than,
Mhm.
even though we're the same age, but I was older in a sense because of my parents.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I had my first one at 31.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
saw that as they got hit 7th, 8th grade, their parents were way younger than you, weren't they?
But I feel like this was the right age.
No, it is the right. I'm
Yeah.
not saying
This
nothing's
was,
wrong
oh,
with
no,
it.
no, no. Yeah,
But
yeah.
you noticed you were way a little more mature than the other kids'
And
parents.
yeah, with some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back a little bit. You said who you thought was your father. Talk to me about that a little bit. You thought I missed that. I didn't miss that, y'all.
Well, all my life, I thought so. My mother was of course married to James Isabel, who so when my parents, I wasn't around to experience it because I was so young, but there was a lot of my father was abusive. James Isabel was very abusive from what I've understood.
Okay.
And so when I was born that November of 1970, um, they had separated.
Okay.
And so he left that January of 73 and he never came back. So I never actually grew up with them in the house because my next oldest sibling is 8 years older than me. So they all lived and grew in the house with him, and I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't live with him, so I didn't know about all
Got
of
you.
how he was toward my mother. So
And that he was your
he
biological
was not
father.
my biological
He
father.
was not your
So
biological
during
father.
one of their
Got it.
many breakups, my mother had a little situation,
Okay.
and out of that situation came me.
Got you.
So
Gotcha.
when I was born, it was a time, as it was explained to me at the age of 26, it was just the times, and we just let it be. And this wasn't
Mhm.
explained to me by my mother, but it was explained to me by my aunt,
Mhm.
who I thought was my play aunt, but was actually my real aunt.
Okay.
It's so deep and long.
But we all have that in our families, right?
Yeah, but this lady
Yeah.
was actually my auntie because it was my biological dad's sister.
Okay.
And they took a great interest in me my whole life, and not the rest of my siblings.
Mhm.
So it was really, I didn't think anything of it because it was just a norm. I was always at their
Yeah.
house. I went away with them. I did things with them all the time. It was just me and not my other siblings.
Mhm.
And so fast forward to uh my mother passing away in 1999,
Mhm.
1998. So we're at the viewing, and my cousin Kat, God bless the dead. So we're sitting there on the front pew. My mom's body is right there, and
Mhm.
we're just talking, casual conversation. And she was like, she was like, man, this is like the third funeral I've been to this year. I don't want to go to any more funerals. And I said, well, this is the first funeral I've been to since my father died. So she says, you went to Elijah Morris's funeral? Because I was living here then. So she was like, that's how it came out. My mother is 5 feet away. Carried this to her grave, literally. She says to me, you went to Elijah Morris's funeral?
So that's who your father was. And you didn't.
I did.
Okay.
Even my older siblings knew too.
Oh, wow.
They learned as they, got older. Because my oldest brother, when I was born, he was like 15. So he knew the rumors. He knew everything.
Okay.
So it wasn't like
Yeah.
nobody had any inkling. And I looked just
Right.
like this dude.
Gotcha.
So it happens right there. And I was like, no, I'm talking about James Isabel. So she says, boy, that ain't your. She said, this is how it comes out. She says, ain't nobody ever told you nothing? I said, told me what? He said, never mind. I said, what you mean, never mind? How you gonna tell me this? At the viewing the day before. It was a viewing Friday night, and then the funeral was a Saturday the next day.
This is definitely a show.
And listen, so I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? So the viewing is over. We're all in the parking lot. My mother died in July, so it was sunny. It was, we get out there. It was like 5:36. It's sunny or whatever. So I go to my oldest sister, Shirley. I says, hey, let me tell you what Kat just told me. She was like, what? So I proceed to tell her what Cat tells me. Then she turns and walks away from me
Oh, wow.
and makes a beeline over to Cat in the other side of the parking lot. So I see them going back and forth. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, my mom's funeral. So I'm one of the pallbearers. And we're carrying my mom out. So my Aunt Irene is like the second, third pew away. Her and my mom were best friends, right? And I said, hey, after everything is over, I want to come by the house and talk to you. She was like, all right, I'll be there. Come by. So whatever. So cemetery, repass, straight to Aunt Irene house.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell her what Cat told me. And she says, well, what did Rose ever tell you? I said, she never told me anything like that. She was like, well, I don't feel like it's my place to even talk to you about this, because if your mama didn't tell you, then why would I now do this?
Wow.
So I was like, Aunt Irene, I'm 26. I said, can you just, is your brother my dad or not? And she stuck to the code. She says, I'm not going to tell you, but you can figure it out for yourself. So she goes get this photo album, brings it out of this man and all my 1,000 siblings. And I'm looking at these pictures and I'm looking at this man. And I'm like,
wow,
what the hell? Like, this is my dad. And these people who I look like, my siblings, they all live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And so that all happened. So the next day, me and my oldest brother was talking. And I was telling him, he said, yeah, Cat told me what happened. I say, well, is he my dad? I said, you was 15 when I was born. He said, man, he looked around. It was just me and him, nobody else. He looking around like Shirley's around, because Shirley was against this information being given to me.
Oh, wow.
It was a part of the code. Mama was like, nah, we not.
Yeah.
And he said, man, you look just like that little short bow-legged motherfucker. Those are his exact words to me. And I'm just sitting there like, what do I do with that?
That was a lot.
It's a
Do you
lot.
remember what the feeling was?
I was just stunned. Like, you know how you kind of hear stuff, but it was just glossed over. As a little kid, I would hear them say, oh, that's why dad ain't your daddy. You know, if I did something that pissed them off. Because they're way older than me, you know.
Right.
And I'm 8. My next sibling is 16, 17, 18, 20, 21. So they're like young adults in high school. So if I did something weird, they would be like, you really ain't know Isabel. That's why you act weird, you know.
Okay.
And I really wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was blown away. I was blown away because, but you know what's crazy? The minute that it really sunk in that was my family seeing them pictures, then I would go back and look at pictures of James Isabel. I looked at him, I was like, damn, I thought I always looked like this. I look nothing like this man. I look just like Elijah Morris.
Yeah.
It was insane. Yeah. So
you had to process. I just want to just kind of back up. You had to not only were you processing and dealing with the loss of your mother.
Right.
But in that same time frame, you learned that the man who you thought was your father wasn't really your father.
Was not my father.
And the man that is your father, was he still alive at that time?
He was alive. Yeah,
he was still alive.
He was no, I'm lying. He died. I'm sorry. He died in 1991. But James Isabel died in 1983. So I could have had like, where's my real father? Like as a dad. I mean, as a dad, looking at it myself, I was like, I could never have a kid out there that I didn't deal with.
Yeah.
So that made me a little angry once it really kind of settled in. And then when I met my siblings, my dad's kids, here's the crazy part. So my dad and my mom did what they did. They created me. And then, so the story goes that my Aunt Irene eventually told me this. She was like, and she's still alive. I got to see her. She told me that they moved away to Michigan because my dad's wife, who was married to till he died, her name is Rose too. Yeah. So me and my mom were at the laundromat in town. And it's like some stores, a laundromat, like a grocery store, a laundromat, and all this. And she walked by. She had heard like everybody else. She walked by and saw me with my mother, and I looked just like him.
Oh my goodness.
Next thing you know, they were all like leaving to go. And I think he eventually followed them up there.
Wow.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's how I found out who my dad was in front of my mom's dead body.
That's a lot.
So I'm coming back to Delaware with all of this going on in my head. I'm like,
that's a lot.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I met my siblings on my dad's side. So fast forward to That was 98. Fast forward to 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at my boy Vinny's house. We sitting on this stoop, drinking, just shooting the ish. And I get this, I had got this inbox like a week before from this girl named Toni Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Toni Morris Johnson. I'm still not putting it together. Elijah Morris, Toni Morris. So I never opened it. So then I opened it and I look at it and she was like, hey, I know this is gonna be kind of weird, but are you the Edward Isabel from Sunset, Arkansas, which is where we lived at when I was born, like before we moved to Turtle?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I said, yeah. Who are you? She was like, can you call me at this number?
Mm.
So I was telling Vinny about it. So Vinny's like, I get called. And I was like, because I'm looking at her pictures and I'm looking at her Facebook thing, and I'm like, and I started replaying this. Somebody about to tell me I got some 20-year-old kid, or like, I don't know.
Right.
It's somebody that I met in the military or
Mm-hmm.
that I just don't remember. So he was like, so I just called her. And when I called her, she was with my sister's Irene, who's named after my aunt Irene. She's with Tony was with Irene, and I think Sherry and Lisa were there.
Wow.
So I was like, "I speak with Toni Morris Johnson," and she was like, "Speaking." I was like, "This is Edward Isabel. You wanted me to give you a call." She just started screaming on the phone. Edward's on the phone. Edward's on the phone.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, so she was like, "Listen, this is gonna sound crazy. Have you ever heard of Elijah Morris?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "That's our dad. You're my brother."
Wow.
And I must have talked to them for like 3 hours, just comparing notes and catching up. So long, Vinny had long left me sitting on the porch.
Right.
Yeah, I went in the house. I wasn't even drunk no more. Like I was tipsy
you was
upon the call. It's like that sobered me right on up.
Yeah.
And so that was like May. And then it was like, listen, we do a big cookout every Labor Day weekend. Could you come out here? We want to all meet you.
Pause.
Yes.
Pause. What was that feeling on the phone when you found out that your siblings had found you?
I mean, it was like disbelief. It was like, I mean, I knew they were existed because I even saw on my dad's obituary, and I read his obituary at my Aunt Irene house. Everybody's name was there. My name wasn't on there, of course. So I knew the names, and I knew, the people. I knew of them. I didn't know them. I didn't know what they looked like. Not really. Just from the obituary. And the pictures she showed me, they were like little kids, though. But
how did they find out about you, though?
They knew. They said they always knew about me.
So your dad didn't know about you?
Oh yeah, he knew about me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He knew about me.
Gotcha.
They said they always knew they had a little brother. Like, and then they said they came to Arkansas one time and they were looking for me, but I lived here. And my sister Dorothy, who all knew that I would belong to them, she had given them my number, and they in the midst of them going back, they traveled and they lost my number, and they never, and then they ended up seeing me on Facebook.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And they reached out that way. I know. Crazy.
It is.
So dig this though. So I drive out, me still and Haley drive out to Kalamazoo. It's Labor Day weekend. So I'm like, I said, well, hold on. How does your mom feel about me coming out there under the circumstances?
Right.
Like, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, I'm a side baby.
Not a side baby.
My mom was doing some side shit. It kind of was what it is. So they was like, they was like, no, mom is like completely cool with this. She wants us to know you, blah, 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 blah. So we drive out there, like an 11-hour drive, right? We get out there and we pull up. The yard is full of music, barbecue, all these people that I've never met in my life. So we stop, we pull up, everybody just runs out into the street and they are mobbing me.
Oh my God.
That made me cry a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So they're all mobbing me, they're kissing me, they're hugging me.
Oh
and
God.
all of my nieces and nephews that I don't know. It was like a Lifetime movie type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I feel like I'm watching right now.
It was crazy. So then all of a sudden they all like start to move out, and this little short lady's walking toward me. It's their mother. So I see her coming, and I'm like,
what was that feeling?
I was a little scared because I know what they told me, but
Yeah.
now this lady sees me in the flesh. She saw me as a little kid, which triggered her move. And now she sees me again. What's 2012?
Like what's happening with her inside?
That's what I'm thinking, right? And so she comes up to me. They all get out the way. It's like it gets quiet.
This is good. This is good, y'all. It's good. Okay.
Everybody gets quiet. It seemed like the music went down, but it didn't.
And
it felt like she was coming to me. Yeah, coming to me like, you know how the Spike Lee movie when somebody floating in the movie?
Right.
I ain't see her feet moving, but she was coming.
Oh my
She a little
God.
short lady. And she comes to me and she says, she looks up at me, she says, "Welcome, son." And she gives me a hug.
Oh my God.
She
You
gives me a
cried. I know
hug, and
you was crying.
I was a little bit of a mess.
I know you was.
And I pulled it together. And then my brother-in-law, well, he wasn't my brother-in-law yet, but my sister Irene husband now, Antoine, he was like, "You need a drink, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, let me get some of that Henny." And I've seen them a couple of times since then. So we've been rocking ever since. So I have all these
Wow.
siblings over here, and I got a little brother Derek. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So total, my mom had 7 of us. So my
Mhm.
mom's 6 siblings, and my dad's 11. I got like 17 siblings.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy. That is really crazy. Um that was a lot to take in, right? So
Yeah.
I can go into questions of, how did, your kids handle that? Because
Hmm.
now they have aunts and uncles that they didn't know about.
Right. Well, let me tell
Um,
you this, Shay. To be honest, even to this day, because my siblings, you know how I talk about mama, the reverence I have for her.
mhm,
That's a reverence they have for our father.
mhm,
Like on his birthday, and all these great stories they've told me about him, and I just feel so cheated. So
mm,
when these things come up and they're talking about him, I just be kind of like,
yeah,
not negative or not bad,
yeah,
but even if you was respecting the fact that you wanted to keep the secret that that I wasn't your kid, and then when James Isabel died,
mhm,
why you didn't come back and holler at me?
mhm,
So that's something that always like bothered me a little bit.
mhm,
But I mean, what can you do about it? You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I look so much like this dude that it's crazy. Like I would have like my 21st birthday. I wish he would have been around. I always want to have a drink with my father when I
mm,
became a man at a bar. And
mhm,
these are things I envisioned in my head as a little kid.
mhm,
As a teenage boy, I wish I could have done those things.
yeah.
Or went fishing. We played ball together. He came and saw me hoop. I was a bad mother effer.
You
Like,
were. We
has
saw
you
the footage.
like I think he would have loved that.
Yeah,
And I was a
yeah.
respectful kid. I always got good grades. And it was just like I felt like that he could have been a part of that. I think he'd have been proud.
Mhm,
Yeah. So
yeah. And the thing about it too, and we will probably never know this, right? We will probably never know um what the real reason was, or why
right.
he chose not to, or whatever the case may be. Um but yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. So how do you think those moments in your life has shaped you into the man you are now, right? And we haven't even touched on um maybe some of the things, like growing up in Arkansas,
Yeah,
some of the things that you dealt with. I definitely want to touch on that a little bit.
absolutely.
But
I think it made me very hyper vigilant about fatherhood
mhm,
and being a good dad. Like you might could say, "Oh, he wasn't shit as a boyfriend," or he might not have been the best husband, or you could say all these other things about me, but you're not gonna say I'm not a great
you're
dad.
a great dad.
That
You
has
are.
been my life's mission,
Yeah.
like above all, to be a great father.
Yeah.
So it definitely affected me in that way.
Yeah.
And to be there like at every turn that I can possibly be there,
Mhm.
good, bad, indifferent, like
Yeah.
yeah, that's really kind of cemented me in that area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I absolutely do know what you mean, right? And I think too that, because sometimes when we have these experiences in our childhood,
Hmm.
you have one or two choices. You can either follow behind the same pattern, or
Yep.
you can do something different,
Right.
right? And so you know what it felt like not to have your father in your life, and you could have chose that path, but you
Right.
didn't. You
Right.
chose the opposite, and you became an amazing father. And that's
Thank you.
one of the things that I definitely, and I've always said this about you, and you know that I always admire who you are to your children,
Yeah. Thank you.
and that always touches my heart, you know. And I've shared my story all, before, but that touches my heart. But those are the things that I look at when I see, and people would say, well, he's supposed to be, that's what he's supposed to be doing. You're absolutely
Right.
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 But when you are a person that may not have had that type of relationship with a parent, and you see that and you admire it. Like I love Haley Rose, his daughter. I love her. That's my little niece right there. And I see how close you are with her, and also your oldest
Iana.
daughter, Iana, you know,
And my
I
boy
look
Sheldon
at
too.
you.
You know, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But from a little girl, the little girl in me admires that,
right,
because I miss that. Right. So when I see it in other people, like even with Corey Wilkerson, even when I see him interact with his children, I just like, yo, I love that. That just warms my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something that I missed, you know. So that's why I always be like, you're a dope dad. You're a dope dad, you know, and you are.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Whew, it's hot in here.
You got in a hot seat. Hey. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what it was like for you growing up in Arkansas.
Yes, the big city of Turtle, Arkansas. Let me tell you, my childhood was so great. Like I had great friends. And the people you see me in pictures with in Arkansas today, those are my friends I grew up with. And then the beautiful thing about living in a small town, for people who don't know, there's one school. It's one elementary school. There's one junior, senior high school combined. So you start kindergarten with these people, you go through all the way to 12th grade with them. Like there was no choice. You can't live in another town and come to Turtle and vice versa.
Right.
You know what I mean? With those, that's just how it was. So you were with the same people. I mean, I moved later, but you're with the same people your whole life. And these are like lifetime bonds you build. And all of the riding our bikes, like it wasn't like today. We were never in the house. Had to make us come in the house. Like riding our bikes around town, playing basketball, playing football, just outside. We fought a little bit and we made up the next hour. We were boys. And it was a beautiful time. And I think one thing my mom did that I'm so grateful for, she kept me out of the adult business. If we were struggling financially, you know, if the car was about to be repossessed, these things I had no knowledge of. I was completely ignorant to the adult things. I didn't have everything that I wanted, but I always had what I needed. I was never hungry. I never had the best clothes. You know, it's just what it was. But the one thing I will say is, growing up in the house with 4 women, older, my mother and my 3 older siblings, I was loved on to my detriment. To have made me a selfish, spoiled young adult, because I expected what my mom and my siblings gave me out of the women that I met. And there was no way they could do that. And then plus I had shifted cultures. I had that in the South. Then I came here when I became to find my footing and have relationships. There was no way they could do that. They weren't raised that way. The ones I was running into, that just wasn't anything that they, you know, were used to being able to give of themselves. They didn't know they needed to do that. And I expected things from women in my early 20s and my young adult life that it would have never worked out.
Did you know that during that time, or was that a reflection that you had later on in life?
I wouldn't, once I got beyond the lustful phase of the relationship, then I would see it definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, because you know in the beginning.
Yeah.
Once you get past that part, like once I moved beyond that, then I already knew like this is gonna be a tough go. Okay. And plus, I didn't give them what they needed either, and because I didn't have a man to show me, it took me a while to figure it out. So what they needed, I didn't know to give it to them. I don't even know if I was interested in trying to figure it out at a young age. I don't think so. Yeah. So yeah, that made it challenging. So I'm not gonna put it on the women I met, because it was a lot of it was me too. I just didn't know. No man sat me down and said, "Hey, son, this is how you treat a woman. This is what you should and should not be." No one ever did that to me. Right. All I heard was, "Oh, you knock them all down. Right. Have 4 or 5." You know, that's what you hear as a dude growing up. No one ever tells you about, you know, protecting yourself mentally and emotionally. this one breaks up, we just move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the pattern I think of most young men.
Yeah.
Shit, men today, grown old cats, we do the same thing.
Absolutely.
So that was definitely probably more so my pattern. And it wouldn't take much for me to be like, all right, I'm over this.
Right. Because that was your way of protecting yourself, right?
Yeah, I would,
Yeah.
and then I would have the nerve to do my shit and be mad at you because you didn't want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So just immaturity, and no one taught me. It took me a while to figure it out.
How did you figure it out?
Trial and error, for sure.
Okay.
Trial and error, and I had a few people that would like Carlton Gray.
Shout out to Carlton.
Shout out to Carlton Gray, man. He would always pull my coattail on my nonsense. I had people that will pull my coattail, or people, they might not know it, but I would observe and watch them and how they interacted.
Right.
Then I would try to incorporate some of that into my life.
Mm-hmm.
But so they didn't always pull me to the side and talk to me, and that's one of my issues I used to have with church. Like, if you're gonna be up there talking this, I really need you to be a living, walking example. But that's too much pressure for a human being. But I had people that I would watch, and even like Vinny's parents. I have some friends whose parents are together to this day. Man, they're 70s. Like, I had great examples of men that I could pull from, but never necessarily. Everyone didn't always pull me to the side, but I could observe and see. And what Carlton was giving me some nuggets here and there.
Yeah.
I kind of figure I'm still learning shit.
Yeah. Now, do you take that because that was something that you missed? And I know you do a lot of work with the youth, especially the young Black and brown boys that's in the community. Do you share that type of information with them?
Absolutely. Like, these kids are so far advanced than I was at 14, 15.
Right.
I feel like I'm playing catch up sometimes. Sometimes I'm telling them stuff like, Miss Shea, we already know that.
Yeah, right.
Like, so I have to figure out a new way to say something old to grab their attention. So absolutely, even with my son, like with Sheldon, I'll always say, if you just want to have a sexual relationship with a young woman, just tell her. I said, you'll be surprised that they might be okay with it, but don't trick, don't deceive, don't do all these things to get with her and you don't want to be with her. And so just be honest about what you're gonna do and what your intentions are. And even the young boys now, like, tell them, like, just be honest, tell the truth. Like, if she don't, somebody will. But just be honest about what your intentions are, and and then on the flip side of that, I'm telling Haley about what to look out for.
Right. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
thank God she listens. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely drill that into their head as much as I can. Yeah.
So one of the things that we are going to be touching on, and I think we touch on a lot, period, at our Rebirth events, is really just putting a focus on Black men and their own healing journey. Also helping, our sisters understand that men have feelings too, and and they hurt and struggle, and maybe they may show it in a different way. We may mistake, anger or whatever as depression.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And which is always, that's mistaken a lot in men, Can you talk a little bit about your own healing journey? Just, maybe some things that has happened that you had to heal from in your childhood that will help people that are looking or watching now in regards to their own healing, especially the men.
Yeah. I think for me, recognizing that I had this issue with not having my dad, like my daddy issue. There was something I had to come to terms with, and I was angry a lot, upon really finding out, and then finding out that there was time that he could have been a part of my life that he wasn't. So one thing I've learned is, I can't let other people's decisions affect. I mean, we often do, and we do it daily, but the goal is not to let other people's decisions affect how you live. Like, find something good about that bad thing, and then make that your own. So that's one thing. And you know what I do a lot, Shea, too? I don't mind being by myself. And one thing I do, I take long country back road drives by myself. I just have my music. I got the windows down, and I'm just vibing, and I'm in my own thoughts. And I think I do that a lot too, is because it reminds me of back home.
Yeah.
Like this open land, these cornfields and all these things.
Yeah.
Those things right there, it's weird. I ain't gonna say it's weird, but those things seem to bring me back or center me. Like when I can just be by myself, at one with myself, and then I'm just anything that reminds me of being down south is almost always a good thing, because it was such a, like I said, trail was a great thing, and my mother did an awesome job of protecting me to my detriment. And so yeah, I draw on things that mean something to me. I quote my mother a lot. That gets me through things like, what would my mother say? What would she do in this situation? She always has a saying for something, damn near everything. So I can always apply, and it'll be funny stuff, but I can always kind of apply it to my current situation. And I pray. Like, I know I play around a lot.
It's crazy. You had to get that disclaimer. I know I play around a lot.
I know I play around a lot, but I'm really a spiritually grounded person. And then I goof around on here about religion and pastors and stuff, but I'm definitely a spiritually grounded person. Like, and one thing I try to be mindful of doing, I say this to everybody: pray when things are going well. I think we fall asleep so easy when life is cushy.
Yeah.
When we got a problem, man, we up all night praying. We in our head, we in the car driving to work.
People, can you pray for me?
Yeah, like ask people to pray for you when things are good.
Yeah.
So I'm very mindful of that. Like, there are times in my life where I don't have, especially the older we get, I don't have a pain, I don't have a stress, I don't have a worry. And then when I'm laying there in them moments and my body is calm and relaxed and I don't have anything that's bothering me, I'm thanking God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's rare that it's happened. If it ain't a physical pain, it's mental, it's emotional, it's something that's got me tense in here. And when I have the moments where there's nothing going on with me, I'm praying. Because it's rare that it happens. I feel like when it's like absolutely, I feel great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely pray.
Yeah, that's good. And I think it's important because, you know, people see you, people see the joke inside, the laugh inside. But to know that, you know, you have a relationship with God, you have a spiritual connection, and you've been through some things, you've had to heal some things. It's important for people to know the behind the story, you know, with you, with myself, and, you know. So what was some of the things that you experience growing up? I know you shared with me a couple of things, but what was something that you felt like was really devastating for you during that time, outside of the loss of your mom? But as a child, right? And how long did that thing stick with you, even growing up into your adulthood, if it did? Or when were you able to shake it?
Right. You know what? To be honest, I think that Terrell is a place where you got to have some thick skin. So, I think a lot of my trauma came from being teased about not having the best of things.
Okay.
Maybe not having the best house or the best sneakers or the best clothes, and maybe not being able to get a haircut.
Yeah.
Once a month.
Yeah.
You know what that look like?
A lot of the kids that's walking around now with their hair.
Yeah, but I didn't want
they
that.
want it like that.
I didn't want that. So a lot of it came from being teased by the older kids, and then girls just like. So I grew up in an era of when light skin was in. So being dark, and I've told this story to you. I'm gonna tell you this story. This right here took me out for a minute. So 7th grade, my big head ass friend, my homeboy, said back home. So we're in the hallways in between classes, and there's one girl at our school. I won't mention her name, but everybody liked her. Like, she was light skinned. So back then, if you was light, it didn't matter if you was really. Because it's funny, me and Vinny look back on it now. We'd be like, why the hell we thought they were so fine? He's like,
and they
was
wasn't,
just
right?
light-skinned.
Yeah, they was just
light skinned.
Yep.
And because we see them now, we'd be like,
school days really messed us up when that came out.
Oh my God.
You're just a jigaboo.
So imagine dealing with that kind of stuff, like when you dark,
right?
And yeah, then you've been outside in the Arkansas summer, all the heat all summer.
Right.
You black as hell.
Right.
So we're in school, and what we at the time, the prettiest girl we all knew, says, "Yo, Eli like you," and she said in front of everybody, "Eli, ew, he's so black and ugly."
Aww.
I can laugh about it now, but and everybody just like,
oh my God. What grade were you in?
7th grade.
7th grade. Okay.
7th grade, when I'm finding my footing, I'm trying to like get my little Mac on a little bit. And man, you ever seen the Flintstones when they say something to Fred or Barney and then they shrink down? I was the size. Look, Shea, when she said that, I was the size of a kazoo. Remember the little Martian that came later?
Right.
They would be on for hello, dum dum. I wanted to call into one of the lockers. I was like, hello, dum dum. So you talking about destroying confidence?
Yeah.
Because when the prettiest girl in school said that about you, any girl who might have liked you, it's a wrap.
Right. Right.
It's a wrap.
She set the bar.
She set the standard for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That was so crazy. And it took me, and then here's how low down Turtle is. Somebody be like, "Yo, Eli," and they be like, "Ew, he's so black and ugly." In unison, it would always happen. If somebody called,
serious?
Like for a while, because that's how we tease each other.
Okay.
That's how we play with each other, right? If somebody yell my name or call me, it's like, "Yo, Eli, come here," or "Eli, ew, he's so black and ugly."
And what would you do back then?
After a while, I laughed, but initially, I mean, 7th grade, I'm sure I cried later that night.
Yeah.
I think
one of them silent cries, right?
Yeah, and I always listen to music, right? So I think Ready for the World was playing or something. Tonight. I'm sure I was in there wetting that pillow up. But man, like, yeah, that was probably, from a social perspective, that's probably the worst moment of my life at that time. In my head, it was. Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh man, you mentioned Ready for the World. All I could think, because they were all dark skinned and with Jerry
long Jerry curls, but they was famous.
They was famous
back in their neighborhoods before they made it. They was ew. Melvin's so black and ugly. Please know that happened.
Right.
Melvin wouldn't get no play.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That was traumatic.
So how long did that stick with you?
It probably, to be honest, is something I thought about probably until I moved here.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was 7th grade. I came here like going into my 11th grade year. And so it was something that, because it would rear its head every once in a while, you know. We'll get to talking about each other, you know. We call it checking. They call it ranking or flaming out here, right? And then that's the go-to.
Yeah.
Ew, he's so black and ugly.
Oh,
but
so they brought it up here.
It was they didn't. No, I'm saying no, they didn't bring it up here.
Okay.
I'm saying when I was there, it would come up periodically. But when I moved here, it was like a clean slate.
Okay.
And we talking about a time where dark skin was becoming a thing.
Right.
And you know, I came here, I could still hoop. And that got me in. And then I was a virgin when I came here.
Oh.
Yeah. And these Delaware girls was ready. I was like, whoa, I gotta hold on to my pants here. They was ready.
It was a whole different experience.
What? But see, you gotta look at it too. I had been around these people my whole life, so we knew each other. It wasn't nothing new about me. It wasn't nothing new about anybody. Like every once in a while, somebody might have family that lived in Chicago or somewhere. They would move back home. Like their parents might move back home. So now there's a new girl or a new face. But other than that, it was the same people. So I was the new face.
Yeah.
And I could hoop.
Yeah.
Oh, it was over. It was over. Yeah. And I used to be so angry. I used to try to tell my friends all the girls I was getting. And there was no way I could prove it.
Right.
No social media. There was no. Then they knew. True. They knew to turtle me. They like, you lying. You ain't get no. I used to be so mad that I couldn't prove it.
Right. Wow.
I couldn't even get no redemption.
What a different experience, right?
And dig this. So I came. So my it was combined junior high school, senior high. So I went from a school with 300 kids, 7 through 12, to a school with like 1,100 kids, which was bigger than my town. So when I got there, my sister took me up there. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is not going to work.
Right.
And I ain't know nobody.
Yeah.
I had zero. It's not like I had a cousin from scratch.
That's scary.
I was terrified. I had my Arkansas gear, which was not working up here. I had the whole Turtle swag, which was cool. But when I got out here, it was over.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, we got to do something. But my sister hooked me up because I was like, I can't wear these clothes. They looking at me like I'm from Mars around this moment. Then my accent was crazy.
Yeah.
Throw that on top of it. Oh, my God. So a couple of weeks went by, I got my gear right. And then I met some dudes. I met some dudes that played ball. They saw me. They was like, yo, man, we have open gym. You should come. I met the coach. And from that point, it was over. After that, I got my gear together. I had some built-in friends. Hey, I was off and running.
Have you ever thought back where if you wouldn't have moved to Delaware?
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened to you if you wouldn't have moved to Delaware?
I would have went to college. I probably would still play ball.
Okay.
Down there. I might have been living in Little Rock or Dallas or something. You know, I wouldn't have probably been living. I would have been living in my hometown. I've probably been in Texas or somewhere. That's what people typically, you know, they go to Dallas or Houston or, you know, if you stay in state, you might live in Little Rock. You move to a bigger place. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
It just depends. I know I wouldn't have been. I look at some of the girls I liked back in the day, and I'd be like, I'm glad they didn't get that pregnant. I'm glad they ain't give me none.
It's so silly.
Like, F you, Eli. But I'm just glad that was my fate.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I hate to tell somebody that's my baby mama right there. When I have a good track record on that. I would tell you, them dudes internal hate so bad. I took my homecoming picture home. It was at my mom's house, right? So my boys came over. I was home visiting, like going into the 12th grade. I went to Arkansas for the summer. And they came over and they was like, oh, let me see a picture of your girlfriend. See a picture of your girlfriend. So I showed them a picture of my girlfriend. My mom had like in a frame on this little stand. And they was like, nigga, you went way out there? That's where you went? They did not want to give me my props.
Right.
They would not give it up. I was like, you know she better than everybody else got. Like, stop playing. They said, that's what you were way out there and this is what you came up with? Some hate, man.
Right.
They're my guys, though. I would have did the same thing. Like, that's it. You not. Then there was this crazy rumor that I went to school with. Remember that movie? Oh my God, it's so silly. Remember that movie? They said I went to school with Ferris Bueller. I'm like, that's a movie.
My gosh.
That's not even a real.
Right. Ferris Bueller
Like,
Day Off.
Bro, we heard you go to school with Ferris Bueller. They were such haters.
Well, I'm sure people want to know, like, where did you get your sense of humor from? Because you're a naturally funny person. So
my oldest brother is hilarious.
Okay.
I mean, my family's pretty funny overall. Like, there's some characters. Like, if you get all of us together, I'm like, I'll fade to the back because they go hard. So I'm gonna say probably it's my siblings. They are wild, and I thank God for them because I definitely wouldn't be here without them and their encouragement and their motivation. One thing I'll say is they have always put me on a pedestal. So I've had this pressure to always just make good choices and do the right thing.
Okay.
And that's been a good thing for me.
Okay.
I was the first one to go to college. I was the first one to graduate. You know what I'm saying? So it was all these things that I was a baby for 8 years. So these expectations were put on me by all these women in my life. And so it created this type of pressure that I never wanted to disappoint them, especially my mom. Like, long as she was cool, I was cool.
Yeah.
Like, and she always showed me she was proud of me.
Oh.
And and she was happy at the choices I made in my life. And so I just wish she could have. But the only regret I have, my mother never met my children. So she passed away before I had a kid. But yeah, man, them crazy ass women in my family, like they and my brothers too. They, even to this day, I'm still kind of on a little bit of a pedestal with them. Like if they see me doing, it's like, when you start smoking cigars. Like it'd be like something weird. Back when I was in my cigar phase.
Right.
They're like, you smoke? They look down upon me, but you smoke everything.
Right.
Yeah, it was like they ain't want me to be doing nothing out of pocket, even as an adult. So I respect that though.
Yeah.
And even in front of my older siblings, like I don't curse in front of them.
Good.
There's this respect thing, and like in most, I think most Southern families, but there's a hierarchy of, and I'm 51, and I have siblings that are like in their 60s. I don't curse in front of them. And my nieces and nephews who are in their 40s, they say yes sir and no sir to me. They don't curse in front of me. It's just a whole
respect.
It's just a cultural thing. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
definitely a cultural thing. It's a respectful thing. So I make sure
Absolutely.
I also do that to my older siblings.
Yeah.
Like I don't, even if it's slip, I'll be like, my bad.
Yeah.
Because they don't expect me to talk that way in front of them.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, y'all always joke with me in regards to me censoring stuff, but honestly, that's just that's been, my mother watches the show, right? So, and that's crazy because we have all these other people that watch the show, but because I know that Miss Williams is watching the show, that's the respect that I have for her. Now, every now and again,
and me too.
Y'all might trigger me, little trigger. There's that word, and something might come out. Hence, the couple of weeks ago when Mr. Wilkerson was sitting here on the right of me, and we was in that conversation, and something little cuss word slipped out, you know. But I have that same respect. I don't cuss in front of my mother. I don't cuss at my children.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, if that's what y'all choose to do, that's what y'all choose to do. But for me, that was just not something. I didn't want to be that mom that every little word come out my mouth was start with an MF or get your A here or told you stop doing that S or you know what I'm saying?
You gonna get effed up.
Like, right, you gonna get effed up, but you know, that just not, because I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. Listen, your mom would be very proud of the man you are today. Just know that she really would. She really would.
Thank you.
So speaking of the man of today and who you are today, who are you?
Wow. I'm somebody who's deeply committed to trying to help these little black and brown boys in my community. That's definitely a part of who I am. I'm definitely a husband. I'm a father. I have so many goals that, you know, it's weird because I have so many things that I'm trying to accomplish. And my issue is I start working on 3 things at one time and they all cancel each other out. And I need to be better with my time management. God is God is blessing me even more now to just be more stable financially. That right there that take a lot of pressure off. If you ain't worried about the lights getting turned off, buddy, let me tell you, if you ever been there,
absolutely,
you ain't never been there, stuff it.
Yes,
I know you for a long time.
Yes, I have. You ain't know me as a child.
When I mentioned you had a Hummer, damn it,
I did
on 26s. Yeah. Anyway,
you ain't had to go. You ain't.
I'm just saying you ain't had no adult struggle.
Knock it off. Put my business out there like that now.
That's a good trigger. It's all right.
I did have adult struggle. I did. I had when I got divorced.
Okay.
When I got divorced, I had to rebuild my life. That's where Rebirth was born. That's right. That's right. I had to go through those struggles and figure out who I was, but this ain't about me. This is about you.
I know. I just slid that in there. But yeah, I'm constantly evolving, Shea. Sometimes I'm so sure of what I'm doing and what I want to do. And then there are other times where I'm just like, I'm in the matrix. Like, I'm like, I'm not sure. And I think that's a part of growing too. And I think that's how I also keep myself out of bad situations, because I have to stop and think and make sure. Like, I want to be sure about as much as I can control. Like, because there were times where my life was just like floundering around. Yeah. So it scares me to go back to that. Yeah. It scares me to have to get a payday loan to pay a payday loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that frightens me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ever go back. So it makes me move a little slower and think and be more methodical, and which sometimes hinders me in things I want to accomplish. Because I when you get a little something, you hold on to it so tight because you don't want to lose it, and then you're missing other things over here that could be. So I'm ever growing, I'm ever learning, and I think that being in a relationship definitely challenges me like I've never been challenged in my life. And in good ways too. But yeah, I'm that person, and I make it a point to carve out space and time for me. Even if I don't know who likes it or not, but sometimes we all need to do that.
Yeah. I call it being self-full, not selfish.
Yeah.
Because I like spending time with myself, and it just actually works out that me and my fiance, we are on different work schedules.
That's gonna keep y'all together.
But on the weekends, I don't really on the weekends, I really don't like to do anything outside of him, because that's the time where I really get a chance to hang out with him,
right,
and spend time with him. So usually, when people do ask me, hey, you want to do this on a, Friday night or on a Saturday, that's usually the time I get a chance to spend with him, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Even if we're just sitting down watching all of our shows that come on.
Right. Then like a little binge watch
and
date.
And I having our little, our little wine. I mean, I've never been a person that goes out a lot anyway. I don't know. Some people didn't, they be surprised about that, but I don't. I'm home.
Yeah, you don't hit the streets.
Y'all know that.
You had a phase though.
That we ain't talking about. But even when I had that phase, you talking about when I was like single. Even when I had that phase,
that pimp hand was out there.
Anyway, again, this ain't about me. Anyway, I lost no train of thought. It's getting hot. But Eli, the one thing that I will say, that you are truly a loyal friend. We've been friends for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. And you are a very loyal friend. So I definitely appreciate that. Eli has a big heart. He does. He joke around a lot and play around a lot. But he has a big heart, and he has a very, he probably gonna kick me for this, but he has a very sensitive side to him. So
yeah, I'll kick you later.
Which is very attractive. And I say that because sometimes our men may feel like they can't show that to certain, to women, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, I find that very attractive. I find that attractive in you. I find that attractive in my own fiance. He just, I know he watching. Let me put my fours up for him. He comes from he had a very rough life. You know what I'm saying? But, who he is, he's a big teddy bear, very sensitive person, but at the same time, he's a man's man,
right.
And I find that very attractive. And that's one of the things that I feel, is important to share. I don't think that y'all men shouldn't have to hide that, and I understand why it's hidden, because especially the men that's our age and up, y'all, a lot of them were raised to not show certain emotions.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that, you're in a space where you can show that side.
Yeah, I do. You know what? I try not to sometimes, because I don't want that to be misconstrued as like every man. You don't want to be you're soft. And that's something I think that men carry with them no matter how old they are. You know what I'm saying? So if you know me, if you're my friend, then you know that about me for sure. And like you said, I'm very loyal. And one of the things I've had to learn is that I'm I'm not gonna probably always get that back in return.
Mm-hmm.
So because of my sensitivity, it'll make me not F with you. Like I will not.
That's true. Now he will cut. Let
Ow.
me go. Bring that camera back on me. I seen it with my own eyes. I seen it.
You synced it.
I synced it. He would cut you off in a minute. Don't let him find out you've been talking trash.
Yeah,
You are literally dead to him. Okay. So
and it's so effortless too. I don't know how. I just
it is effortless.
Yeah, but I just feel like, if I'm good to you,
yeah,
at the bare minimum,
yeah,
like, everybody ain't going, you can't expect you from other people, but I expect some sense of loyalty if I rock with you. Like if I rock with you like that, I need that back to some degree.
Yeah.
That's it. If not, then we can't move forward.
Yeah.
That's all. No more, no less.
So listen, I know we're at time. I want to say to you, first of all, thank you. Because you really don't have to, buy into Rebirth's vision or, or anything like that. So I appreciate the time, the dedication, everything that you have put into making what Rebirth is today. And that doesn't go unnoticed. I heard you say there's things that you want to do, and sometimes it becomes, I know you didn't say the word overwhelming, but I'm using that word because I've been in those spaces, and there's times I still find myself in those spaces. It's so much like, it's just, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then it's like you're almost afraid to pull the trigger with certain things, right? But I've learned that is what separates leaders and followers. A leader is someone that is willing to take that risk.
Right.
Even if it's the wrong risk, right? It's the wrong choice. But I also know it's important sometimes to brainstorm or to talk it out with people, right? And if there's ever a time that you feel like you're in that space, give me a call.
Yeah.
Talk it out, because I can tell you there's been things in my head, and it took me to talk it out with someone that I trust.
Yeah.
And that could guide me. And although they may not have given me the answers, but actually hearing myself talk about it, it was just like, all right, I know what I need to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, however I can support you, you let me know, because you have definitely support me on this journey with Rebirth and what we've made Rebirth into, and I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for always just even extending yourself, which I know you do anyway. But just saying it, publicly, and you have been an awesome friend to me too. So this is not a one-way street. Whenever I've needed you, I know I've always been able to count on you. I think you might even let me borrow some money back in the day one time. I mean, that's a good friend right there. But yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you and this Rebirth journey. I've learned a lot in the midst of it. Yeah, even though this is you've been reborn, but in the midst of watching you grow and come back from where you came from, it also gives me tidbits and nuggets that I can apply to myself. I don't always say it because I'm listening to you. And but yeah, so it's a two-way street. So don't think that I don't appreciate you and this journey right here. So I'm here, I'm rocking.
Yeah.
And yeah, man.
We're excited.
Yeah, I am excited.
Yeah. We're excited. I'm really looking forward to 2024. Has been a great year. It really has, man. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Because it really has. And it's a good nervousness though. Like I'm a little bit nervous, but because I know there's no going back, right? So like you said in your interview, you were saying like, I don't want to, I try to be intentional and choose wisely because I don't want to go back to certain things, right? We can't go back to certain things. Yeah, we can't go back to how we did things 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? I truly believe God has his hands on this whole movement of Rebirth. And the reason why I know that is because I don't do anything. I don't make any choice without consulting with God first.
Yeah.
And y'all may not know that, but I do. I consult with him on everything when it comes down to this, because again, when we talk about leaders, right? Although everybody in this room is a leader or have the potential to be, whatever you want to say, here's the thing. I can't lead y'all down the wrong road.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because y'all trust in me. And that's a lot on my shoulders.
Yeah.
What if this don't work? What if this goes wrong? All of that is going on in my mind with different decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So most of the time it's you know, like, okay, all right. If I pull the trigger on something, it's because God gave me the okay to do it.
Right.
And every time it's been a blessing. It's been something, rather it's people coming up and saying, hey, y'all are doing this, or y'all, you know, thank y'all for doing this, or whatever it is.
Right.
It's showing up, and I'm seeing it, and we're all seeing it, you know. So I'm just really excited about what 2025 is going to bring. If
it's better than this, then oh boy.
Yeah.
And let me tell you this, I promise to do my part by not getting caught in a seedy hotel with a hooker and cocaine on a nightstand and embarrass the program. That's my job.
Thank you.
That's part of my job. I'm not going to bring the brand. Not going to bring the brand down by doing that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, because as DJ did.
I'm not gonna,
said last week, right?
I'm not going to bring the brand down.
You got to protect your brand. So thank you. I appreciate that. But thank you for sitting and sharing space with me and sharing your story.
My pleasure. Thank you for letting me tell it. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the black and ugly thing is hilarious to me now. And yeah, retelling the story of how I met my siblings, that's pretty dope.
It's very dope.
Yeah.
It
so I tell y'all other stories about handicapped people. Y'all don't get these stories.
And that's the point. That's the whole reason why I wanted to sit down and just, you know, and just talk to you and let people see this side of you. That, you know, people that don't know you personally, people that know you personally know that there's another side of you. But just to really, you know, understand your story and what you come from, you know, and the choices and how you've changed your life around, and, you know, all of that, right?
And you know, I go to church, right?
Yeah.
I always like to throw that out there.
I'm going to actually come to church with you. You go on Sundays or Saturdays?
I go on Sundays.
You do go on Sundays. Okay.
10:30.
To the 10:30s? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to church with you. I was planning on doing that. I was planning on doing that last Sunday, but what had happened was, anyway, y'all.
We know what happened.
Thank you, Eli.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. So, guys, rebirthu.com. You want to come to Rebirth Live and Uncut? It's important. Get y'all tickets. We're going to have more conversation. We're going to be candid. We're going to talk. And we're just going to have a good time. Yeah. We're going to have a great time. Any last minute words you
listen, buy them tickets. That's all I want. It's enough about me. Get those tickets, man. We're going to be in the building. We're going to have a great time. We're going to be clean. I mean, come on. What more do you need?
We're going to do a little two-step.
Yes, sir. Yeah. October 26th, rebirthu.com. Grab those tickets.
That's right, y'all. All right, guys. Until next Monday, y'all have a blessed night. Hey, pay attention to our social media. We are dropping something really big.
Can't
wait. Big. Okay. So make sure you follow us, pay attention, and get your tickets. We'll see you at Rebirth Live, October 26th. Have a great night. Okay. Ladies, Rebirth Live and Uncut is coming October 26th to Theater Inn. We need you in the building.
October 26th. Listen to me very carefully, fellas. Come out. We don't have an issue getting the ladies in the building, but we need y'all. We need to be able to enlighten ourselves, open our minds. Rebirth Live 5 is
the grown and sexy. Ladies, come on out with your best dress on, with your fly heels. Let's have a good time and make our voices known.
Come out and enjoy your voice, man. Don't be sitting in the back not asking questions. This is for you too. This is not just for always women. This is for men as well. We have a voice. We have feelings. We have things we want to get off our chest. And guess what? It's live and uncut. You get to speak without being filtered.
Rebirth Live. Get your tickets. Rebirthu.com.